Calling to order the Municipality of Monroeville's Citizens Night and Agenda Setting Meeting for Tuesday, September 3rd, 2024. It is approximately 7:10 p.m. If you'd all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Could I have a roll call, please?
Mayor Griesbach?
Here.
Mr. Hizzy?
Here.
Mr. Poach?
Here.
Mr. Stevenson? Mr. Crut?
Here.
Mr. Adams?
Here.
Mr. Williams?
Here.
Mr. Biondo?
Here.
Mr. Graziano?
Here.
Mrs. Gold?
Here.
Mrs. Rock?
Here.
Mr. Hugus?
Here.
Mr. Sedlak?
Here.
Mr. Weldon?
Here. Welcome. This is our agenda setting meeting and our Citizens Night meeting. In a moment, I'm going to open the floor for citizens' comments on any municipal item. Next Tuesday's meeting, we will also have a comment period for agenda items at the beginning of the meeting, and there will also be another comment period for any municipal item at the end of next week's meeting. But tonight, we'll have one comment period for any municipal item. And just for the public's knowledge, something that's been discussed quite a bit over the past several months, the Willow Crest development. This is the old airport redevelopment in Garden City. That is not on the agenda for this month. There's going to be a conditional use hearing for next month, October 1st. We are going to talk about that motion, but that is not on the agenda for this month. There will be no action taken for that item this month. Certainly, in this comment period that's coming up, you can certainly comment about anything, but just so the public is aware, this council will not be discussing or voting on anything that pertains to that development until October's meeting. So I'm going to open the floor for citizens' remarks and comments. We always ask that you keep your comments to a 5-minute time limit, and that you this is for all residents and taxpayers. So if there's anyone who'd like to address council on any municipal item, now would be your chance to do so.
Good evening. I'm Lois Drumheller. I signed in.
Thank you.
Sure. Yeah, and I am aware that per the goings-on over the several months at planning, that you won't be having a public hearing until October 1st. However, I have been following this. I was at the Planning Commission meeting last time, and they are going, well, they did, and what I'm trying to follow up on is the voting to, they have three things that they could do. They could vote to approve with conditions, or disapprove the application. Well, they disapproved the application, or they didn't recommend it. And per the Article 2, Procedures for Review from the Subdivision and Land Development Ordinance, Ordinance number 2525. If they do that, if they don't recommend, or they recommend to disapprove, they need to specify, the Planning Commission does, the defects found and describe the requirements not met and cite the provisions of the statute or the ordinance relied upon. And my question is whether or not, even though they have to October 1st, whether that council has received anything to that order in writing. I have a lot of concern about that because the meeting itself was not run well, and it was through a lot of frustration that we tried to get them to understand a couple of the things that are necessary to do that. I don't know whether they even have a copy of any of this stuff alongside of them. They weren't able to address many things, but what I did is I looked back through that ordinance and another one that had to do with the roads. I had a big concern about the roads, and it needed to be that ordinance 2530, which I finally got an attachment to that ordinance, it's useful to examine that. So I want to call your attention to ordinance number 2525, a big, long saldo ordinance, and the other one, which is 2530. It mandates the construction of roads within the municipality. And in that ordinance, the construction of different types of roads are discussed. There's also limited information available in the Land Development Ordinance 2525, but it's 2530 that I was going to try to, once again, see if I could use one schematic that came from that. I printed it out and wondered if the eye in the sky could capture this. Maybe, yeah, it's a bit type, but you could, if you were to read the bottom here, it would say typical street section, heavy-duty local street. And I recall that Mr. Weldon at the meeting explained, and if you want to go back to that meeting, just go to 22-minute mark, 52 seconds, quote, "Existing streets are not going to be widened," and he was referring to Willowcrest. I am referring to the same developer that not only has come before planning to develop Willowcrest, but also had developed already one phase of Maplecrest, same developer. And the existing streets are not going to be widened, Mr. Weldon said. They are currently 22 feet wide. They meet Monroeville's regulation. Most residential streets in Monroeville are that width. That statement does not seem to conform to the road construction in this ordinance, unless I'm misunderstanding something. Because for the last 50 years, in the area north of the airport property, the roads have all have cartways, you know, the section that the vehicles drive on, that are 26 foot wide. And, you know, that's the part of the road that's used by vehicles. And that means that the Monroeville approving bodies, for the last 50 years at least, they've specified heavy-duty local streets be constructed in all new developments. You know, these are roads that include roads like Willow Hedge Drive, Pauline Drive, Edgemead Drive, Leaside Drive, Mallard Drive, Gulf Ridge Drive, and Jefferson Court, which all have 26-foot cartways. The exception, though, was that the Maplecrest development went in, what was that, 2018? And they had maybe 23.5-foot cartways. This clearly states that a typical street section for heavy-duty local, there it is again, local street, and if you were to go up to where, you know, you see the 50-foot right-of-way, you see the center line, 13 this way, 13 that way, is 26. I want to know how they got away with constructing something that late, which was 2018, and what they intended to do this time with that narrow of a roadway. I also want to know it for the benefit of people who live in an adjoining, the very first planned unit development, which is Garden City. Because they didn't bother to do a traffic study that connected anything ingress, egress to Logan's Ferry Road, difficult road, we've all known about that in the past, they got speed bumps on it, people come down from Penn Hills, I mean, you know the stories, heard the stories about difficulty on that road to keep within the miles per hour speed limit, much less handle traffic. We've got a lot of traffic on that road. We've got a problem with the intersection when it comes to Center Road, at the end of Logan's Ferry Road. But for some reason, when we asked, I asked and other people asked about that traffic study, none of it was considered to connect to Logan's Ferry Road. And
Well, thank you for your comments.
I'm afraid that there's not so many people here, so I'm almost through, Mayor.
No, well, I mean, it's a 5-minute time limit.
Yes,
whether-
I
whether it's
understand
100
that, but I
people
also
here or
understand
if
the
there's 3
ordinance
people.
that rules that gives you reasonable time. If there are 3 councilmen that agree with me that I should be able to finish my sentence, I'd like for that permission to be done now, because that's in that
Well,
same ordinance.
I'm letting you wrap up your comments. You're well over 5
Thank you.
minutes. If
Okay,
you want to
so
wrap
then
it up.
what we're looking at
your
here is
sentence.
we're looking at substandard roads, a traffic study that didn't even include Logan's Ferry Road. And you've got a lot of people that have very narrow roads where they want to connect to ingress and egress through that development known as Garden City. So I hope that you can do your homework between now and then for these 2 ordinances, again, 2525
That's more than
and
one sentence,
2530.
Mrs. Drumheller.
And I thank you so very much, Mr. Mayor, for allowing me
You are
time.
very welcome. Have a wonderful evening.
You too.
I'll leave the floor open for anyone who'd like to address council on any municipal matter. So, did you sign in yet?
I did.
Okay, and then just slide over just in front of that podium. That way the microphone can pick
I'm
you up.
so
And then just,
sorry.
no, you're perfectly fine. Just state your name for the record.
My name is Elena King Bryce.
Welcome.
Okay. I'm a new resident to Monroeville. I just came here from Waynesburg University. I graduated with a bachelor's in environmental studies. And I've heard that you guys have a spring litter cleanup so far. But I was thinking maybe I could bring open a discussion about a community cleanup that happens maybe once a month. I have talked to many other people on like Facebook groups and things like that, and a lot of people seem open to volunteering. I would obviously love to volunteer and bring something like this, especially with my environmental background. And I just thought that would be something that we could talk about. I'm welcome to like make posters. We could make them around town. Just things that we would need is like vests or gloves and things to help us get started. And then maybe a couple of you, because I am young and I'm new to this, and I would love any insight that you guys have.
Okay, great. If you could maybe get some contact info to the manager,
Okay.
and then that way you guys can communicate and see what we can come up with.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. I'll leave the floor open for anyone who'd like to address council on any municipal item. Seeing that, we're going to close the comment period and open the agenda-setting meeting. Going through the agenda, council, I have an executive session announcement that council conducted an executive session tonight, September 3rd, 2024, from 6:30 PM to approximately 7 PM for matters pertaining to legal, personnel, and/or real estate. Council legislative action, if any, shall be taken at next Tuesday's September 10th council meeting. Council, for your consideration this month are the minutes of the Citizens' Night meeting of August 8th, 2024, the council agenda-setting meeting of August 8th, 2024, and the regular council meeting of August 13, 2024. Any questions or comments about those minutes, council? Hearing none. For next week, the reports of the tax collections. Any questions about those reports? List of bills and budget transfers, same thing. Any questions or comments, council? Hearing none. And the payroll report for this month to be considered next week. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, moving through the agenda, our consent agenda, our motions for this evening to be voted on next Tuesday. We have 4 to consider. Mr. Graziani, please.
Yeah, first is a motion to direct the municipal manager to advertise a proposed ordinance of the Municipality of Monroeville for negotiation and approval of a lease between the Municipality of Monroeville and the Convention and Visitors Bureau of Greater Monroeville to operate the Monroeville Convention Center.
Questions or comments? Next item.
Next, we will entertain a motion to hold a public hearing on Tuesday, October 1st, 2024, for conditional use, application number 24-2-C Willowcrest. Applicant, Primo Land Group LLC, requests conditional use approval pursuant to Section 504 VV, major excavation of the Monroeville zoning ordinance number 2779, to permit a cut and fill operation totaling approximately 100,000 cubic yards of earth. The property is vacant and is used to be the airport located off Logan's Ferry Road and identified as tax parcel 741-R-333 in the R2, single multifamily residential zoning district, consists of 46.62 acres.
And just the comment I'll make is, once again, to be clear, all we're voting on next Tuesday is to vote to have the hearing in October. We are not having the hearing next week.
And just very briefly, I've spoken with a couple residents who are unable to make it on October the 1st, and I've just asked that they be allowed to submit materials that they feel appropriate for that hearing, either by email or drop it off here at the office.
Yeah, then we can certainly, Ms. Gold, we can make that part of the conditional use, like the testimony.
Sure.
Okay.
And I spoke with Alex earlier, and he said that it was okay to have them email
The
him.
comments are welcome, just so people know, in a hearing format, there will be opportunities, for example, an applicant to ask questions of someone who has standing. And when someone makes comment, you might not, for example, have opportunity to ask someone who's making comment for clarification. But you welcome those, or you may welcome those, it's up to you. And when you decide, you can weigh those. However, it's best
Okay.
for people to make an appearance, at the hearing as much as possible. Of course, the conditional use hearing precedes another meeting which we'll be voting on that. So for example, it may be the following week at the regular meeting where council will be voting on whether they'll approve with conditions or deny for cause.
Well, I guess my concern is that people that are affected by that live on those streets, that they have an opportunity to be heard at the public hearing.
Correct. And we will receive comments. I just want to make sure you all understand in the hearing format why it's always best if possible for people to come to the meeting and address council in front of all.
Right, and the point is too, as well, there will be essentially two comment periods for individuals to speak to this item.
Right.
At the October 1st meeting, and then also then at the October 8th meeting. So,
And as you know, because it deals with earth moving, that's where you're able to do conditions related to that. It's use by right, the single-family subdivision is. You're not holding a conditional use on that right to discuss. It's on the moving of earth and the amount, making sure that's done in a safe way.
good point. Anything else about this item, council? Very good. Number 3.
A motion to approve the property disposition for the Tricog Land Bank for the property located at 3767 Evergreen Drive, lot and block number 742-R-80.
Questions or comments, council? Hearing none, next item, please.
This motion deals with the election in November, and it is a motion to authorize, advertise the date change of the November Citizens Night and Council Agenda Setting Meeting from Tuesday, November 5th, 2024, to Thursday, November 7th, 2024, due to Election Day.
Questions or comments? Hearing none, moving over to our resolutions. We have 5 for this month. Mr. Graziani, please.
The first is one we do annually, and it is setting a figure for the municipal obligation for pensions. It's a resolution under Act 205 of 1984, known as the Municipal Pension Plan Funding Standard Recovery Act, authorizing the 2025 minimum municipal obligation, MMO, for police and non-uniform pension plans. We just got that today, and I think we'll be including in your packet, so you'll see the numbers.
Right.
I think, Josie, they're a little bit above last year's, but reasonably close.
The police is above slightly. However, the municipal is lower, and the reason it's lower is due to a actuarial amount that's provided by PMRS. So it was, last year it was like 800 and some thousand. This year it's only 84,000. I haven't, looked into why, because it's,
Is that different?
well, yeah, it's a lot, but it's all based upon actuarial numbers, and I get, even though I like numbers, I get lost in actuarial amounts, so.
The major difference, in the simplest way, is one, PMRS is fully funded. and-
Right.
And to a large degree, I think it's 110%,
Yeah,
potentially, where 100 would be fully funded. And the police side, it's not fully funded, and that's why you'd have the discrepancy.
Yeah.
The intent of the law is to make sure that you're meeting a minimum to keep the pension solvent and
Right.
fully funded. And thus, PMRS is, I think, 110%, had a good year in the market last year, and it's
Yeah.
well managed.
yeah, they do okay now.
We also contribute quite a bit.
Any other questions or comments? Next item, please.
This is a unique item, unlike the previous one. It's a resolution to adopt a statement of mission, vision, values, and desired outcomes for the Municipality of Monroeville for 2024 to 2025.
Questions or comments? I'll just say that I know, Alex, you've worked on this for quite some time here, and with council and department heads and staff, and done a good job getting this in front of us.
Succinctly, once this is adopted by council, everything from how we do budgeting to how we advertise for positions and interview for people to fill those positions to performance and evaluation of success will be measured against these directional comments or directional items of mission, vision, and values, and specifically the desired outcomes, departments will be expected to relate how they do what they do in meeting and achieving the desired outcomes. So I'm pretty excited that the work that we put into this, and hopefully every 2 years it becomes a habit in Monroeville to revisit the mission, vision, values, and change is needed, but that it becomes part of our DNA, these operational objectives.
Very good. Next item.
That is a resolution confirming that the municipality of Monroeville has formally requested Act 152 Blight Removal Program funds, has designated an official to perform the duties required between the municipality of Monroeville and Allegheny County Economic Development, and assures the provision of local matching funds in compliance with all the provisions of Act 152. This and the following resolution are combined. They deal with properties that we're looking to get county monies from to be demolished. These are blighted properties. The person who is designated to be the official would be Mr. Hugus as the department director. And the second resolution I will read as well here. It's a resolution that the municipality of Monroeville determines and declares that indicated structures meet the blighted property definition under Act 152 and will undergo local agency condemnation proceedings.
Questions or comments? Next item, please.
This is a resolution authorizing the proper municipal officials to enter into a winter traffic services agreement for 5 years with Pennsylvania Department of Transportation during the winter seasons of 2024 to 2029.
Questions or comments, council? Hearing none. Moving through our agenda, reports of our municipal staff. Ms. Gold, anything this evening?
I have nothing to report.
Thank you for filling in for Mr. Ratcher this evening.
You're welcome.
Mr. Graziani.
The Jazz Festival was this past week, and preceded by that was the Fun Fest at the library, both extremely well attended. Can't say enough about the different departments. The Parks Department just keeps the place immaculate, and it was wonderful to see the Jazz Fest look so good in such a great setting. And the library, the different departments participated in that. The fire trucks were out and so forth. So we're really appreciative of everyone getting behind those and those who made that happen. It's wonderful to see.
Very good. You're exactly right. Mr. Hugus, anything?
No, sir.
Ms. Rock, anything else?
No, nothing
Want
else.
to talk numbers more? You can.
Maybe I'll have an answer for you next week.
Sounds good.
Anytime, Josie, anytime.
Okay, moving on to reports of our council members. Mr. Hizzy, anything?
I have nothing tonight.
Mr. Poach.
Mr. Graziani covered for me.
Did you want to cover the trails that you saw at Municipal Park West?
Oh, yeah, I talked to Paul when I come up. Our Public Works went over and paved the trails around Park West, and I said how great of a job it is. It looks beautiful, especially around the ballpark and that. And kudos for the library for doing the Fun Fest this year. It was very well attended, I should say.
Yeah, great. Mr. Crut.
Nothing, thank you.
Mr. Adams.
Nothing, Mayor.
Mr. Williams.
Nothing tonight.
All right. Mr. Biondo.
I'll say something. My kids had a great time at the Library Fun Fest. They got to meet Bluey. It was a really great event. We really enjoyed it. That's all I have.
Great. Yeah, and I'll echo those sentiments between that and the Jazz Festival. Two great community programs and special events. And with that, I'll seek a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? This meeting is adjourned. Thank you and good night.